Cohen is telling the truth. It's a catch-22 for the prosecution. Let me lay this out for 60 seconds. Here's the issue. The president is entitled to pay hush money to anyone he wants during a campaign. There are no restrictions on what a candidate can contribute to his own campaign. So if, in fact, the president directed Cohen to do it as his lawyer and was going to compensate him for it, the president committed no crime. If Cohen did it on his own, then Cohen committed the crime.
But
it's
clearly,
convoluted. The law is convoluted.
prosecutors have said Michael Cohen broke the law, and Michael Cohen says the president told me to do it. You said last night as well that you believe that every president breaks the law during an election. I mean, really, does that make it okay?
Say what I said.
Your quote is that every candidate violates election laws when they run for president.
Let me tell you what I said. Candidates violate election laws all the time. Go back and you can get back to any campaign. You'll find violations. It doesn't. But let me be very clear, because you're not letting me make my point. You're not letting me. My point. My point is the president doesn't break the law if, as a candidate, he contributes to his own campaign. So if he gave $1 million to two women as hush money, there would be no crime. If he directed his lawyer to do it and he would compensate the lawyer, he's committed no crime. The only crime is if a third party, namely Cohen, on his own contributed to a campaign. That would be a campaign contribution. So it's a catch-22 for the prosecution. If they claim that the president authorized him to do it or directed him to do it, it's not a crime for anybody.
And there we have it. Good morning. Sorry the computer wasn't awake. I'm sure that you're more awake than our computers here, unfortunately. Kevin Miller with you here on KIDO Talk Radio. So here we have it at 580-5436, 580-KIDO. This issue involving Michael Cohen and the president and the idea of a crime being committed. Well, there was no crime to commit. Donald Trump can contribute to his own campaign. Alan Dershowitz said it, and if you heard that young lady on Meet the Press or MSNBC or whatever else it is, dear friends, just because the prosecutor says you commit a crime doesn't mean that you commit a crime. Heck, even the people that have been arrested by the FBI, that have been charged with allegedly selling illegal cell phones since 2008, have a presumption of innocence. The President of the United States has a presumption of innocence, which, yesterday, I'll tell you, I was in here at the broadcast center, and look, here I'm surrounded by the hostiles. I tell you that all the time, and maybe you feel the same way at your place of work. We used to joke 9 years ago, the day we started this program, 9 years ago today, that there'll be one day in America where the conservatives and the Christians will be in the closet and the libs will be running wild and free. Well, we have reached that point in America, and maybe you feel that way at work. Heck, maybe you feel that way when you're at church. Maybe you feel that way when you're out and about. Heaven forbid if you would wear a Make America Great hat. Heaven forbid if you would say, I love America. Well, there's nothing to love about America. America wants closed borders. Yes, just like we have locks on our doors at home. But I digress. So I'm in the broadcast center working away. About 2 or 3 in the afternoon, I had one of these young people come up to me, one of these young millennial folks, go, ha, 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 ha. Cohen flipped on Trump. I'm so happy. Ha, 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 ha. Kevin Miller, take that. And I thought to myself, well, again, in the age of Fortnite and Mario Brothers and any other video game that rots the minds of these young kids, and older kids for that matter, guys, gals, just because the Michael Cohen cut a deal doesn't mean a crime was committed. And, as John Decker was talking about yesterday, if you missed it, John Decker, not only an award-winning attorney, not only a professor at a university, but an attorney, he said, look, this goes back to John Edwards. John Edwards did break the law because he used money from campaign contributions, most notably, Fred, I can't remember his last name, the founder of FedEx, used that money to hush his mistress at the time, who eventually had his baby, and I believe they got married, I think. Real Hunter, was that her name? That was outside money being used for nefarious things. Now, you talk about a catch-22. I can remember way back when, with Bill Clinton, it doesn't matter what somebody does in their own personal life. It doesn't matter what somebody does as long as they're running the country effectively. And didn't we have that whole battle over impeachment? I know I did because I was working in talk radio at the time. I was taking calls in a market similar size to this about impeachment. And I was one of the few people that said, look, if you're going to have someone who will not keep their vows to their closest person in front of God, in front of man, then how can you trust him to run the country? And that person was not only elected, he was reelected and sold a bunch of secrets to the Chinese, Bill Clinton. But everybody else, this whole idea that Donald Trump broke the law is preposterous. At 580-5436, 580-KIDO, I would put what Alan Dershowitz said up against anybody. Now, again, there are many people that we respect, that we admire, that they don't like Donald Trump. They don't like the personal act. I totally get it. And here's the question. At 580-5436, 580-KIDO, you can have Donald Trump and get 2, maybe 3, maybe 4 Supreme Court justices conservative on the Supreme Court, or you can have Hillary Clinton. Right? That's really what it comes down to. So just moments ago, Ainsley Earhart from Fox News, the big Fox, interviewed the president exclusively. We'll hear those excerpts from President Trump. But more importantly, because we have been closeted, even in Idaho, where you have the Prius patrol, and I'm sure there are some conservatives that drive the Priuses, although you're more probable to be driving a big pickup truck. That's another thing. Talking about stereotypes this morning, I don't know when I've ever seen a progressive, a true blue progressive, drive a 150, 250, 350. Have you? I guess that would go against hugging the trees and the environment. But I just saw that clip and wanted to share it with you. Here you have Alan Dershowitz saying, how can he do this? And by the way, again, remember, those of you that have mileage on the odometers, it goes back to Clinton. What did everybody say? Who cares? Who cares? Now, again, that's an issue between Mr. Trump and Mrs. Trump. That's an issue between Mr. Trump and his family. Do I delve into that? No. Do I see a guy that has made America great again, that has said things that Republicans would never say? Do I think that he's a bad person? No. Do I think he's the best thing going today? Yes. Do I think that the libs want to get rid of him because he is a danger to their progressive agenda? Yeah. That's the idea. At 580-5436, 580-KIDO. That's really what it comes down to. Who do you believe and who do you trust? Here's the president.
He was a lawyer for me for one of many. They always say the lawyer, and then they like to add the fixer. Well, I don't know if he was a fixer. I don't know where that term came from, but he's been a lawyer for me. Didn't do big deals, did small deals. Not somebody that was with me that much. They make it sound like I didn't live without him.
There's no question that he's committed a federal crime, and whether he can be indicted has never been decided.
Later on, I knew. Later on. But you have to understand, Ainsley, what he did, and they weren't taken out of campaign finance. That's a big thing. That's a much bigger thing. Did they come out of the campaign? They didn't come out of the campaign. They came from me, and I tweeted about it.
He is a scary person, sometimes acts mentally scary. He certainly doesn't care about the truth. He has Giuliani saying truth is not always truth. And Mr. Trump lies and doesn't care he lies, knows his supporters, some of them, know that he's lying, and they don't care.
The funny thing is you can tell a lot by somebody's voice, right? And that's the beauty of where we are today. By the way, our phone number is 580-5436, 580-KIDO. This is the beauty of radio. This is the beauty of talk radio. There is no screen. There is no green screen. There is no makeup. There is no camera. There is no HD. You are not distracted by somebody's looks. Just listening to Lanny Davis and President Trump, who sounds more confident? Who sounds more credible? And when you hear Lanny, he's in the best business to be an attorney, isn't he? He's in the best business to be an attorney. Why? Because of just his little nasally thing back and forth, right? He just sounds like one of those kind of crazy people. I'm sorry, I'm distracted, but there's a new television commercial with Lori Otter and a llama in a school. And apparently see something, tell something, but we're going to have to change the TV channel. So we have the First Lady with a llama in a school talking to kids. Well, these are strange times. Anyway, think about this when you hear Lanny Davis. And again, I don't like to make fun of people because we value the family. This is a family value show. And it would be very easy to say, oh, he sounds like a nerd or a weasel. I'm not going to call him a nerd or a weasel, and I apologize for suggesting that to you.
Members of the Trump Organization all document that the money was paid right before the election, and the prosecutors brought charges that Mr. Cohen was motivated for political reasons to pay hush money.
Yeah, Mr. Cohen was motivated. You're going to spend 20 doing hard time with Billy, or you can cop a plea and say the president did it.
And that Mr. Trump is named as the person who directed, that's their word, and coordinated, that's their word.
There we have it. Now, doesn't Lanny Davis sound like the kid that would tattle on everybody in school? Thank you, Kevin. That's what I was looking for. I don't want to be mean and say he sounds like a weasel. I don't want to be mean and say that he sounds like a near-do-bob. I don't even think that's a word, but it's before 7 a.m. Shh, don't tell anybody. But doesn't he sound like the kid that was the hall monitor on steroids? And just because Lanny Davis says it and Chuck Todd and the liberal acolytes roll with it doesn't mean that it's true. 580-5436, 580-KIDO. It comes down to credibility. You heard Alan Dershowitz on KIDO Talk Radio say, look, if he gives money to his own campaign, it's not breaking the law. And yet that doesn't stop Lanny.
There was no deal. He got no lower jail time. He's going to jail. He pled guilty.
Right. Lanny, never go to court, Davis. There was no deal, so why did he do it? Because of his civic duty? By the way, will the president be impeached?
I don't know how you can impeach somebody who's done a great job. I'll tell you what, if I ever got impeached, I think the market would crash. I think everybody would be very poor.
Don't tell that to Dave Petso. KIDO Talk Radio time is 6:19. Phone numbers, you know them, 580-KIDO. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio.
Well, he was a lawyer for me for one of many. They always say the lawyer, and then they like to add the fixer. Well, I don't know if there's a fixer. I don't know where that term came from, but he's been a lawyer for me. Didn't do big deals, did small deals. Not somebody that was with me that much. They make it sound like I didn't live without him. I understood Michael Cohen very well.
And there we have it, the president earlier today on Fox and Friends. And remember, say it with me, true believers, when you hear Fox News on the radio in the Treasure Valley, you're listening to KIDO Talk Radio. Blessed to be a part of your day. Kevin Miller taking your phone calls on Trump, Cohen, and unlike the press, we tell the truth here. The president did nothing wrong. Bring on impeachment. By the way, the president of the United States saying, impeach me? For what? It doesn't matter, Mr. President. They want to get you before you get them.
I don't know how you can impeach somebody who's done a great job. I'll tell you what, if I ever got impeached, I think the market would crash. I think everybody would be very poor.
There we have it. R&R, good morning. You're on with Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. Hello, R&R.
Morning, Kevin. Hey, I absolutely concur. This nonsense and just dribble that just comes out nationwide and day by day. It's so great to have you at the helm, and I'd like to start happy birthday to President Trump. It'd just be so good for the state and, rejuvenation really of the whole Treasure Valley and probably clear to Seattle. But there's several reasons Trump could come to Idaho, but birthday, sure. Like I said, I was teasing before, but the Snake River motorcycle jump by me and Special Needs Steve. For reals, I'd like to hear Paulette Jordan and see what her agenda is. What are we, 70-some days until election? So it's just a great thing that you're there. I think.
Would you like to invite her to come on? I know you have in the past.
I'm sure I didn't realize. I did a little research on the computer, but she's got some nice coverage on computer and.
Sure.
But she's very talented. She's definitely got an agenda with the indigenous people, which I'm totally behind. I didn't understand until a few days ago. She's got a place in the North End, and she's totally accessible with maybe a little limo ride down to your speaking platform. And sure, Paulette and all the Coeur d'Alenes and all the native indigenous people. I know she's rallied all of their vote and lots of Latinas, and Democrats. But let's just hear what she has to say. And I'm just honored to have my voice. You were talking about cadence and telling people by their voice. It's just phenomenal to hear Hank. It reminds me of old school. It's impossible to be in a class with a human being like Hank and try and take notes and expect to test to it, but it just reminds me of the 60s, and Hank's probably the most phenomenal voice that I hear other than yours. Thanks. Honored to be part of your day, sir.
God bless you, R&R. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. KIDO Talk Radio Time, 6:26. Traffic and weather together. Everett. All right, let's get to Hank in Boise with Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Hank. Were your ears burning?
Good morning. Oh, I'm not surprised by anything. But the point of Lonnie is that basically Cohen was trying to get the best deal he could in hiring Lonnie, given the fact that every one of these people that is on Mueller's team are Democrat Party operatives or hacks who basically are either large contributors. Lonnie Davis is well known as the Clinton stooge and a Democratic Party activist. He used to come on the Sean Hannity and Colmes show as an apologist for the Clintons, and he would devil over backwards to give any excuse for anything that Clinton did. So for him to make any moral judgments about Trump, I think is laughable. And I used to remember how the media used to marvel how how skillfully Clinton could lie. And the New York Times put out an article that sometimes it's best to tell a lie not to hurt others. So in other words, they were looking for stories and stuff to justify lying, and all now there's moral indignation on the part of the Times and the usual drive-by media about lying. Now they found newfound moral outrage about it. So it always amazes me the double flips that the mainstream media does on this stuff. And Lonnie's a hack. I don't think you can make him credible. There's one thing before I get off the air, though, that I'd like to comment about, and this is about the eminent domain, and that is that Boise State's going to be very hard to fight against, because just about every law firm in Boise major law firm in Boise has retainers from Boise State. Boise State has grown so powerful and whatnot that even people who have legitimate legal cases against the university will have difficulty finding representation. That's how far the reach of Boise State is. And this is a university that was cited for its freedom of speech violations and also its tendency over the years to make rules on the fly. This isn't, there's a lot here to clean up, and unfortunately we got to...
Well, wait a minute, Hank. Here, let's throw in one more. You're not going to have anybody taking them to task like we are either, because they're in bed with them. They're their business partners.
Oh yeah, that's what I mean. The reach is such in the community that they're virtually, even though they do some outrageous things, they're virtually untouchable. And I think that's a tragedy for the community, because they need to be reined in.
Good luck reining them in when the fox watches the hen house.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I feel very much that we do. That's why I really regret it, because the only candidate who would have done something about it, I think, would have been Labrador, if anybody would have done anything about it. Brad Little is going to duck it.
And you're right. And maybe the congressman was just too darn honest for his own good.
Well, it probably was, but
when you're going to blow up the Death Star, you better get it. And unfortunately, he didn't, and that's just how it is.
Yeah, well, if you go into, like I said, we have a Boise swamp here, just like Trump is fighting the Washington swamp. Well, you got a swamp here, and you got a swamp here in Boise.
Well, we have no Donald Trump in Boise.
Nope. We've got a George Bush.
And on that note, Hank, you have a blessed day. Thank you, brother.
Bye.
Bye-bye. 631, you're listening to 107.5 FM, 580 AM, KIDO Talk Radio. Time to get the latest news from our friends at Channel 7. Good morning, Doug.
Good morning, Kevin.
KIDO Talk Radio, Kevin Miller in the morning. Thank you for joining us. Phone number is 580-5436. 580-KIDO. Rachel Sutherland joins us from Washington on Fox News Radio. Rachel, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Kevin.
So it's all about the midterms. We're getting ready for the midterms.
That's right. And there's a new Fox News poll that shows that Democrats really have the enthusiasm when it comes to heading into these elections. I don't know if that's going to amount to the blue wave they've been talking about, but more Democrats are interested in this election than Republicans. And so that could spell some difficulty for Republicans heading into these elections, because really I think that, most pollsters are looking at it and saying, okay, probably the House, that could flip. And that's the Democrat strategy, is that they want to see Nancy Pelosi with that speaker gavel back in her hot little hand.
Indeed, her hot. Of course, then you have the possibility of a senior Democrat running against her, James Clyburn of South Carolina.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, when you're talking about projecting that far out as to whether or not there would be, obviously there would be a battle for a speakership, no matter if it's Republican or Democrat. And she's, her approval rating is usually somewhere almost negative. I mean, people just don't seem to like her, yet she remains in power. She remains House Minority Leader now. She's been in power for years and years and decades, and so I don't know how that would shake out. I think that may be getting the cart a little bit before the horse. We don't even know if Democrats are going to take back the House. I don't think they're expected to take the Senate. But again, I mean, the Democrats are energized going into this election. President Trump's approval rating remains underwater at 45%. His marks on the economy are good. But what's interesting here is that Republicans and Democrats can't even seem to agree about the economy, when clearly the unemployment rate is low, much lower than it has been. Democrats still aren't happy with the economy, but Republicans are. And then you look at marks for things like immigration. The president not doing so well there. I think about 39% approve of his job on immigration right now. Maybe that's some who are upset over the family separation at the border. Could be others who wanted to see more done on border security, like the wall going up and that kind of thing. So you're seeing some of these areas where you would expect the president to get higher marks. He's not doing so well. But in the economy, overall, he's getting good points, and Republicans viewing the economy very favorably.
Rachel Sutherland joining us here on Fox News Radio's KIDO Talk Radio. So, Rachel, we take a look at the midterms, and we've had these races across the country. It looks like the Republicans should do well in the Senate. The House is where everything could be won or lost. But as you know, you've covered Capitol Hill, been there for years. midterms, the first midterms are really not kind to any president.
No. Typically, you're right about that, Kevin. Typically, the incumbent or the sitting president at the time is going to see a resistance. There's going to be usually a flip or some kind of a change. This is very common. If a Democrat were in office right now, you'd see Republicans, much in the way after President Obama was elected, the Tea Party rose up. They didn't like Obamacare. They didn't like a bunch of stuff he was doing. And so you saw a movement there. And that's very common. And I think you're right in that it's more the House that could be in jeopardy. And then you do see a situation where if Democrats do get control again, they could try to take action against President Trump. And so that's something he was asked about just this morning in an exclusive interview with Fox and Friends. Ainsley Earhardt asked him, what do you think Democrats will try to impeach you if they take back the House? And the president said that, he doesn't see how someone doing such a great job could be impeached, but he said if that were to happen, that he believes that the stock market would crash and that people would essentially be very poor. So that was his take on it this morning. It was quite candid, really, in this interview on Fox and Friends.
And any rumblings on Capitol Hill on the Manafort conviction and the Cohen plea deal, or are they trying to keep those things separate like offense and defense? But are they talking about that?
I think that's basically going along party lines. Republicans have been pretty quiet about it so far. Democrats speaking out, given their side of things, and that the Manafort getting any conviction, and they got 8 counts, shows that the Robert Mueller team does have teeth and can get convictions. But Republicans have been pretty quiet and been quiet about the Michael Cohen thing too, because that's one to watch. When you're talking about something that could amount to a campaign finance violation, that could really be a problem. The president claims that this is not a campaign finance violation, that the money that was paid to these women who claimed to have affairs with him did not come out of Trump campaign money. But that's sort of what Michael Cohen is saying. But the president's saying that Michael Cohen was in other legal trouble. He was in some kind of taxi cab business that went south and all kinds of issues, and that he did this and turned against them to get a sweeter deal. And that could be the case. But if you're talking about campaign finance violations, that could be very serious.
And the always serious on the story, Rachel Sutherland. We so appreciate you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thanks, Kevin.
Our great friend, Rachel Sutherland. Not to be exceeded by Liberty Linda with Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning.
Yes, good morning, Kevin. When it comes to those two ladies, women, and our president, the thing is, we know what it's all about. And I couldn't believe it. You said it exactly the way I believe. It's between him and his wife. Let them work it out. If there's anything there to work out, we know what's really behind it. They're trying to take our president down. They don't want Kavanaugh to get on the Supreme Court. And we see it everywhere. And it's so evident of what's going on in our country. And, those of us who have our eyes open to this can listen to this on the television and our computers and say, it's amazing how they're coming up against our presidents. And anyway, when it comes to bumper stickers, as you were talking about before, I used to have when he was running for president, I had my bumper sticker on my rear bumper. And when I would come up to a red light and stop, someone would come up and keep tapping on me, on the back of my car and my bumper. I knew what it was about. It's because I had the bumper sticker. Well, one day this woman came up behind me, and she was tapping me so hard that her bumper actually ran up over mine and got caught. And finally she backed up enough to get it off my bumper, but she just kept giving me dirty looks. So I eventually had to take my bumper sticker off of my car because it was just too dangerous to have it on my car.
And we're talking about we're not talking about Compton, we're talking about Boise.
I know. This is downtown Boise. And we're talking about Boise. But it was all over the Treasure Valley. But so I never shared that. I don't believe I shared it with you before. I just took the bumper sticker off. I will vote for him. Everyone knew I was for him.
See, but what does that say, Liberty Linda, about our society today when we're talking about the First Amendment, when we're talking about freedom of expression, that you and you've known this, you've fought them for years as well as I have, that the purveyors of free speech are the most intolerant people that you will ever meet. They don't want people like us around.
It's unbelievable. It really is. When you can't even have a bumper sticker on your car, to say who you're for. But I literally had to take it off. I was too afraid to drive with it on there. And then with this other, we know what's going on behind this. They do not want Kavanaugh to get on the Supreme Court. And for Cohen, we know who's backing him in regard to this. He knows he probably won't get in any trouble. And so the thing is, our eyes are open. And the way you explained it this morning, I'm sitting here going, that's exactly the way I feel. And so, it's so wonderful to hear you. You have your eyes open. You know what's going on. And that's why we tune in every morning, Kevin, because we like to hear truth.
Liberty Linda, thank you for that. And again, today we've been here officially. We've completed our 9th year on the air through everything, and it's through people like yourself, although there's no one like you, that have allowed us the privilege of being here, despite the liberals' attempts to get us to silence our voices. But what does it say, going back to this broader question, where we have to keep our comments to ourselves like we're second-class citizens?
Well, it tells us what's going on in our country, and actually it's scary. When I had to take a bumper sticker off of my car, that was frightening. And all I can say is congratulations for you being here these 9 years. When you commented on that, I was looking back to when I first called in, when Tom Lund told me to call in to your show, and how wonderful it's been to be able to have you here and be able to tune in and listen to you every day. I love truth, and I love watching and knowing what's going on in our government, and it just seems like it's getting worse. What's going on in Washington, D.C., it's hard to even turn our televisions on and listen to it. For those who have their eyes open, thank you for the Miller Militia. They are a bunch of wonderful people. I love hearing them every morning, Kevin. Congratulations to you.
Well, I couldn't have done it without you, little buddy.
Well, anyway, we kind of uphold each other in all of this, I believe. Security guard Mike, what a wonderful guy he is. Wow.
I would agree.
Yeah. Anyway, wonderful people that always gather around you, and that's something we all know here in the Treasure Valley. And so anyway, we don't dislike the other people that are doing these things. We just kind of gasp that it's actually happening. I don't have anything against others. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Well, but they have it against you.
I know. We don't want it to happen. And, our president is trying so hard to make America great again. And he's not just talking about it. He's actually doing it for the people of the United States. And I don't know, it just gives me shivers and chills in my body. I don't know about others, but I just think it's marvelous. And so that's my feelings. That's what I'm feeling. Thank you, Kevin, for waking us up and sharing your feelings as well.
God bless, Liberty Linda. Take care.
You as well, Kevin. Mm-hmm. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. KIDO Talk Radio time is 6:49. Coming up next, more on the president and school safety. How secure are schools across the country and here in the Treasure Valley? Let's discuss it together. 580-5436, 580-KIDO. You're listening to 107.5 FM, 580 AM, KIDO Talk Radio. Thank you all for joining us. Kevin Miller in the morning. Don't forget Spirit of Boise Balloon Classic, brought to you by CapEd Credit Union. It starts next Wednesday. Make sure you check that out. We're checking out the president, whether or not you believe any of the hogwash that the libs are saying that he broke the law. He simply did not. We go to the phones. Patriot Ray joins us now. Hello, Patriot Ray. Good morning.
Good morning. You know, it's a morning of contemplation. I'm sorry to change the subject. I don't think they're going to impeach Trump, and I don't think they should. He hasn't done anything wrong. Sure, he had some problems in his early life, but that was before he's president. And I'm just tired of the garbage they're putting up against this president. The thing that really concerns me more than just about anything right now is where we have gone since 9/11. Here we are 17 years down the road, and we seem to forget that we do have enemies out there, and the libs just completely are ignorant or complicit, or they are just pure communists now because we're not protecting our borders. We're giving leeway to illegals who come in and commit crimes. They had one where they broadcasted how horrible it was. This pregnant woman's husband was arrested right at the hospital as she was getting ready to go in for a C-section. They didn't say one thing that he was arrested because he was a murderer. And they don't talk too much about the Tibbetts girl either and how she was killed by an illegal. I'm just so tired of these things. When the young lady was killed in San Francisco, and they've got sanctuary cities that want to protect those who are here illegally. What is wrong with our country? What is wrong with the thinking? What is wrong with our schools who keep preaching the wrong things about how this wonderful government, this wonderful country was instituted with God and faith and love for fellow men and trying to do the best they can? I have friends of color who I love like brothers and sisters who are my friends, who they just cringe every time they hear Maxine Waters get up and blow around her diatribe of just crud. And she should be put in jail for her threatening and inciting problems with the government and trying to get those who work with Trump. Don't let them rest. Don't let them go to a restaurant. Don't let them go anywhere. You just protest against them. You be vocal. You stand there. She's inciting problems that are horrible, and they want to put it all on Trump. My gosh, come on, my friends. Let's be the people that we know we can be in this country. This is a wonderful country. Everybody wants to come here, but we don't want them to come here illegally. We want them here if they want to assimilate to this wonderful country. Gosh, Kevin, you are wonderful to be around and be able to hear and listen to you every morning. And those guests that you get, oh my gosh, nobody puts guests on like you do, who know the truth, who speak the truth, who go out and tell us that we are a great nation. When Obama was here, what did he do? He went around and apologized to everybody about this country when he does not respect it. Michelle, I'm sorry, when she said that she didn't love this country until her husband was elected. My gosh, what is wrong with that woman? They're all just communists trying to change our way of thinking with this great nation. But thank you, Kevin.
God bless, Patriot Ray. Got to run.